So today we're going to look at the Industrial Revolution in the United States. First thing we'll look at is, why did U.S. industry grow? Okay, why did all of a sudden we have factories and producing things? Well, the U.S. had many natural resources: coal, iron, forest, silver, and gold to make stuff with. It also had a high birth rate, and immigration caused the U.S. population to grow. So this meant there were more workers in our factories and also more consumers, more buyers in the U.S. economy. So here's a picture of what we call natural resources, things you take from the earth to make into something else. So we've got lumber here, trees, we've got iron ore to turn into steel, we've got gold, and we've got coal.
So, the U.S. government improved transportation in the United States. This means they funded railroads and steamboats. People lent money to businesses when they made investments in them. Businesses used the money that people invested in them to hire more people and more workers and to buy new equipment.
So here's a picture of a train, one of the things that helped industry grow, and a picture of a steamboat using some of the large rivers like the Mississippi to move products and people around.
So, in the Northeast, the textile industry grew in New England area and in New York City. Pittsburgh was a center for the steel industry. Industry also grew in the Midwest. Chicago was a center for the meatpacking industry. Detroit became the center of the automobile industry. In the South, it remained agricultural. The South did not have much industrial growth, but they continued to produce many crops and products needed for farming.
So looking at this map, you can see what we're talking about when we talk about the geography of industries. So certain parts of the country were specialized in certain industries. So we have Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, New York City, and New England states. So in Chicago was the center of meat packing, Pittsburgh, center of steel manufacturing, Detroit created automobiles later on, and New England, New York City was the center for textile, meaning clothing, creating clothing. And the South was still agricultural, farming. We can remember these things today, luckily, through some sports teams. So, for example, Chicago. If you want to remember Chicago, think of meatpacking, you can think of the Chicago Bulls. In Detroit, if you want to think about cars, a piston is a part of a car, so we have the Detroit Pistons. In Pittsburgh, the football team, the Steelers, use the steel logo as on their helmets. And in New England, New York City, we've got the Boston Red Sox, so the Sox.
The transportation industry moved resources and products around the country. Trains created a national market for resources and products.
So an example of a train helping industry grow is, you have iron ore out here in the West, and it needs to get to this factory. So how do you do that? Well, it used to be your factory would have to be right next to the natural resource, but now with the trains you don't have to worry about that. So you load the iron ore onto the train, which will take it to the factory, and create steel out of it. Same thing in the South. You had the farming in the South, say growing cotton. So load it onto a train, take it to the north, and produce products.
The creation of national markets basically had to do with moving products that these factories were making. So in New England, they were making shirts, and what they would do is they'd load the shirts up on the trains, take them all over the country, and make them available in what we call national markets. So national markets are all over the place, and now people had more choices. So they could pick whatever shirt they wanted, but typically people would pick the cheapest product. This helped industry grow as more people bought more and more things from these specialized industries.
So inventions also helped industry grow. You had new inventions that would create new industries and make existing ones better or more efficient, meaning better and faster. A new technique for using iron to make steel was called the Bessemer process. It made better steel at a lower price. So steel would be used for manufacturing, making things like trains and buildings. So this is just an example of the Bessemer process. This machine right here would help make better steel than the old way of doing it, which is like making it in a clay or iron pit. So this was much better.
Better generators help people use electricity. With electricity, factories could stay open longer thanks to electric light bulbs.